Hello, and welcome to FindaBetterU's College Admission video series. I'm Brady Norval, the president and founder of FindaBetterU. In each short video, I will be addressing one specific issue of the college admission process. These videos are meant to lessen the anxiety and stress of what can otherwise be a really uncertain experience for all teens. In this particular video, I want to address the main essay, sometimes called the personal statement or the Common App required essay. This is the piece of the puzzle over which the applicant has the most control in this process. To break it down, there are 5 very important parts of an applicant's overall profile. The essay or essays, of course, like we'll be talking about today, the strength of curriculum, the grades within that curriculum, letters of recommendation from teachers and an administrator who know your personal performance and can add context to the grades, and test scores. Keep in mind, this is a general overview, and of course, there are variations from one school to the next. Many schools, particularly in the era of COVID-19, are reassessing these requirements, specifically with regard to standardized testing. I digress. Grades are what they will be. Test scores are in, letters of recommendation are in the hands of others, and your strength of curriculum was chosen long ago. So the main Common App essay. Let's talk about the prompts. First of all, the prompts that are given in the Common App are simply there to give students a start in the process. No school is going to admit or deny an applicant based on whether they explicitly address the prompt that they have chosen. It is just to sort of get the creative juices flowing so that the student is able to start to tell their story. And with that said, the importance of telling the story is something I cannot emphasize enough. This should be a sensory experience for the reader. So let me give you an example, and one that I give to lots of groups when I talk about this. Let's say one has never crossed a street in New York City before, and they go to visit New York City, or even in their hometown. When they cross a street in this place, and they're writing this essay about the moment that they cross the street, you want the reader to be able to see what you see, hear what you hear, smell what you smell, feel what you feel, and taste what you taste. So you're bringing the reader into this one particular moment to really transport them into the way you felt at that time. And in so doing, you are demonstrating to the reader not just your ability to tell a story, but your thoughtfulness, your creativity, your ability to communicate effectively through the written word. And also, I think you're talking in many ways about yourself, right? Like a lot of the personality of an individual will come through in the different things that they are experiencing. You know, whether they're a negative person, a positive person, whether they're empathetic, or whether they are selfish or interesting. It's an essay. It's a representation of your overall awareness and thoughtfulness as an applicant. So in that way, I don't think this is something that can really be manufactured out of a desire to portray the person that you hope they see. This is a really great opportunity for you to show them and demonstrate to the readers who you really are. So if that doesn't make sense, what we're talking about is just being able to capture a specific moment, transporting the reader to understand this sensory experience that you felt in that moment. It could be jumping into a pool or jumping into the ocean. It could be tasting food. It could be crossing the street. It could be the first time that you raised your hand in a class. It could be many of these things, and that is your jumping off point from which you're going to tell the rest of the story. Does that make sense? I hope so. If it doesn't, you can ask me questions here. But I think the point is that this has to be a personal moment in which you are describing the experiences and the feelings that you had. Of course, for this essay, are you allowed to bring in references from books or movies or culture? Yes, do that. The more, the better. Are you allowed to use great vocabulary to describe and to go into detail about the different moments or memories that this experience evoked? Of course. All of these things can be true. All of these things can be possible within this type of essay where you are capturing the reader through your sensory experience. So how do I typically tell my students to start with an essay? Usually we create the moment, we find the moment that they want to capture, and I tell them, go for 15 or 20 minutes and I want you to just write eagerly, just be hungry and write as much as you can. Don't erase anything, don't edit anything, just get it on paper. And then stop. As soon as you stop flowing, just stop. If it's less than 15 minutes or more than 15 minutes, that's fine. Stop, take a break, step away from it, give it to somebody who has good critical eyes, hopefully not a parent, just because they have slightly biased eyes, I think, in this process. So somebody else you trust, another adult, hopefully. I really recommend students not reading peer essays, not Googling peer essays, not Googling successful college application essays, because I don't want my students to be pigeonholed into a particular idea or mold from which they will write their essay. There is not one successful format. There is not one perfect template. I want students to really reach into their creativity. Students have written poems, students have written prose, students have written things without proper punctuation because it came out that way and it worked. Students have written things in so many different formats that there is no one right way. And I think that is a part of being able to really express yourself well. So if you try to read things and then copy them, I think that only tends to hurt students in this process. So then you're going to come back, you're going to get the feedback from that reader that you shared your story with, and then you're going to continue to work from that feedback and from what you originally had, and you're going to expand on certain ideas, get rid of other ideas, and you're going to flow with the good momentum that you had. Now, remember, this essay is not explicitly supposed to say you're hardworking. It's not explicitly supposed to say you're a kind and thoughtful person or you're courageous. It's not explicitly supposed to say any of that. If you have to say those things, you're not telling the story well enough. So I really encourage students to just get creative and get really thoughtful and try and use as much detail as they can. Really, remember, go to those senses. Look into your feelings, your smells, the sounds. Really describe that moment. So it doesn't have to be a long frame moment. It can be a very short one. And I think there is nothing wrong or right about the longer frame moments, but the more we get into the idea of like an autobiography, I think that can become a very dangerous place for a student to try to captivate the reader, because there are very few things that are unique in every student's experience and any one student's experience, as opposed to the way we perceive moments. Specific moments is very unique to the person. So that's the end of our main college essay talk for today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to add them here or comments. If there's anything else that you'd like me to talk about, please feel free to also add that. We will be addressing the other topics in our college admissions series. But for now, this is the topic on the main essay, the personal statement for the Common App. And I really appreciate you listening. If you need to find us on the web, go to www.findabetteru.com and have a successful application.